Well, good morning. Welcome to Easter Sunday morning and our gathering here at the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe Truckee. I'm Reverend Pam Bramman, the senior minister here at the center, and it's my pleasure and joy to welcome you on this beautiful morning. We've got sunny weather. It's supposed to be almost 60 this morning. The snow is melting. There is new life. It is wonderful to be here. And we're grateful that you have taken this time to join us here on to share your spiritual journey with us today. We know there are many paths to God, and we recognize that they all end in oneness and in love. We're grateful that each of you is here today, whether you're here in the sanctuary or whether you're online, live in Zoom, or you're watching us on the recording. We'd like to remind everyone that our center's purpose is love. Our vision is embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. Please join me in our receptivity statement you'll see on our screen. I am here by divine appointment. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. So our musician today is Kaulina Kiko. And one way we're celebrating Easter today is by singing together. And Colleen's selected some of our favorite songs that remind us of awakening to a new day and a new life. This woman also wears many hats for our center and for our world. So make sure you listen to the April 23rd benefit concert that's online to raise funds for the Northwestern Syrian women who survived the earthquake 2 months ago that was in Turkey and Syria. Colleen is coordinating this event for So Am I Worthy. Please help me welcome Kaulina Kiko, our morning's musician.
So, I am not here to perform for you, au contraire. So we are going to actually celebrate this special day by singing together. So you are welcome to drown me out. And if you like, you can even stand up if that helps you sing from your toes better. So I think you'll find this one familiar. Here we go. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Mine is the new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first to fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken, mother's morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the swinging, praise for the morning, and springing fresh from the word.
All right. The morning is broken. We're here. So, our practitioner this morning, Nancy O'Neill, is just returned from Arizona, from the warm weather, well, almost warm there, to our warmer weather here. We're so grateful that she's made it back. And I'm pleased to announce also that Nancy and Tom were able to dig out their house from all the snow that accumulated and move back in. So please help me welcome Nancy O'Neill, our practitioner for our morning special reading and invocation.
Good morning. Can you hear me? There we go. So today, the April theme is the power of vulnerability. And Pam will be speaking on the topic of vulnerability, letting go and letting in. This morning's reading, though, is from the book by Ernest Holmes, Can We Talk to God? Fear and faith are identical in that the energy used in the one is the same energy used in the other, since there is but one final energy in the universe, and this final energy is the energy of thought. Fear is a positive acceptance that you shall experience that which you dislike. Fear is a positive acceptance that you shall experience that which you do like, but they are identical. Faith is a positive acceptance that you shall experience that which you do like, but they are identical in their mental action. The only difference is in the direction. You should be careful not to fight fear too much, but rather, through a sort of flexible imagination, convert fear into faith. Realizing that it is a mental attitude, you can do this very easily. Looking at the thing which you fear and examining the thought of fear which you have about it, convert this thought into one of faith, realizing that the energy of fear converted into faith will produce an effect exactly opposite. If you will look at the thing you are afraid of until you really understand it, it will no longer have any element of fear for you. You can do this in such degree as you are conscious of being divinely guided and protected, and state your realization of this in a definite manner. Love overcomes both hate and fear. However, love does not overcome hate and fear through controversy, argument, or force, but by a subtle power of transformation, transmutation, and sublimation. It is invisible in its essence, but apparent through its act. As light overcomes the darkness, as the presence of heat causes the coolness of a room to change until it is warm and comfortable, so the radiant action of love and peace dissipates fear, hate, and confusion. Love is the victor in every case. Love breaks down the iron bars of thought, shatters the walls of material belief, severs the chain of bondage which thought has imposed, and sets the captive free. So if you'll just join me in an opening prayer by just closing your eyes and taking a deep breath, and just in gratitude. You know, Jesus began every prayer with gratitude. And Jesus is who we think about today, in this day of resurrection. And so in taking that breath and getting centered into this place, into this time, and into this spirit of being together, of being as one. And so just knowing that the beauty, the joy, the power, the grace, the love that is in this room is within all of us, because we're all made of that God stuff. We're all one. And so in just knowing that this time of being here at the Center for Spiritual Living on this Easter Sunday is a time of growth, a time of sharing, a time of being in community, and a time of love. So as we know, that is what we're all about. That's our purpose. And so in knowing all of this, and great gratitude always for this teaching, for this time together, for the love that fills this room, for the love that fills the Zoom room also, and moves out into that world. I just am grateful for all of that, as we say together, and so it is. So Colleen is back.
I think we can use this song to celebrate the sun that is shining, whether we are seeing it or not. It's coming. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Here we go last time. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Hooray! Little darling, it seems like a year since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Right. So I'm sure Carlene's happy to accept all of that, our gratitude, not only for her, but for the sun. All right. Well, it was this morning when I got up, it was bright and sunny, and there was fog just down on the lake, looking like clouds. And then as the morning went on, it's enveloped us all. So, yeah. So, well, it's Easter morning. And, you know, before there was Easter, Jesus was crucified on Good Friday. And as he released his human life, he cried out in a loud voice and said, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." Jesus faced death knowing two truths. First, that life is eternal. He was just making a transition from the physical form back into spirit form. He also knew that he could never be separate from God, the one life that has created Jesus and all people, all of life, all of creation from itself. Right? The infinite invisible is continuously expressing itself in, through, and as each one of us in human form. Right? Jesus was letting go and letting in the divine presence. Right? But Jesus' followers didn't know all of this. For them, their spiritual leader was dead. You know, they were shaken to their core, grieving and fearful. Joseph of Arimathea, right, with Pilate's permission, had taken down Jesus' body from the cross, wrapped it in a linen cloth for burial, placed it in a new stone tomb, and sealed the tomb with a heavy stone before the Sabbath began at sundown. After resting on the Sabbath, as the Jewish tradition, on Sunday morning, after Jesus was crucified, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, Joanna, and perhaps other women went down to visit the tomb. They brought spices that they were going to anoint Jesus' dead body and help control the odor of the decomposing body. But when they arrived, they were shocked to see that the stone had been rolled back. A violent earthquake during the night had rolled back that stone, and inside there was no body. There was a few cloths left, but no body. And as the women stood there in confusion, trying to figure out what had happened, two men dressed in garments that were shining so brightly, it was like the sun, like lightning, and they suddenly appeared next to them. And the angels assured them, "Do not be afraid, for we know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. But he is not here. He has risen, just as he said." So the women excitedly and hurriedly rushed back to Jerusalem to share the news with the apostles. But the men did not believe the women. And so they made their own way back to find the empty tomb and confirm what had happened. Now, many of us find ourselves enclosed within a tomb that prevents us from bringing our whole self, our authentic self, to share with the world. And our tombs are constructed of our uncertainty and our fears. They may be fears of the unknown, fears of what others may think, fears of rejection or opposition, fear of trying something new, or fear of not being good enough. Big fear for many people. And then we seal in all of those cracks in our fear with shame and blame and guilt, right? And what happens when we find ourselves in that tomb of fear? Well, the walls of the tomb become barriers to vulnerability of any kind, right? In fact, the walls can get so high and so thick that nothing can get in or out, right? And our lives become very small and constricted and perhaps feeling inescapable in any direction, right? We're stuck. And sometimes our ego may get so angry that we try to fight our way out, but those walls hold fast. So how do we roll back the stone from our tomb? Well, one, we need to look those fears in the face, as from the reading that you heard this morning. Krishnamurti says, "It is not that you must be free from fear. The moment you try to free yourself from fear, you create a resistance against to it. What is needed, rather than running away or controlling or suppressing or any other resistance, is understanding fear. Watch it, learn about it, come directly into contact with it, learn from it." Another part of this is shifting from fear to faith, right? Ernest Holmes explained this in the reading. Fear is a positive acceptance that you will experience that which you dislike. I know it's going to always be bad, and it's just going to stay bad, and I can't do anything about it. Faith is a positive acceptance that you will experience that which you do like. Oh, things always work out for me. In some way, God has a way, this will be good. Both of them are identical in their mental action. The only difference is the direction. What we saw an example of this week in Nashville. There was another shooting. 3 adults, 3 children were taken away too early. And so many people said, we can't do anything about it. Gun violence. And the people stood up. The mothers and the fathers and the children. And they showed up with the legislator, and their elected people spoke up for them. Not fighting, but calmly stating the truth. Enough is enough. They showed up with love. They showed up with a divine presence within them, clear that that is the direction we all need to go. Now, it didn't turn out the way that it started, but there's been a wildfire that's been started, and perhaps the direction has changed. But they did it by switching from fear to faith. This is the transformative power of love, letting divine love flow through you, full to overflowing and flowing out into the world to transform everything that it unfolds. Right? This is by letting go of what's been, letting go of our fears, letting go of what no longer serves us, including old thought patterns and actions. We let go of looking outside of ourselves for security and allow ourselves to open up to our authentic self, to that divine presence within us, and yet allowing the fullest expression of ourselves can be uncomfortable, even terrifying, right? It's something that's unknown. And notably, this requires vulnerability and trust in the infinite invisible. Madeleine L'Engle was one of my favorite authors when I was a child, and she says, when we were children, we used to think that when we were grown up, we would no longer be vulnerable. I'm going to be all grown up, right? But to grow up is to accept vulnerability. To be alive is to be vulnerable, right? It's like learning to bend like the willow rather than holding steadfast, right? Strength that comes from that giving and letting go. So paradoxically, what our egos have fought for so long against, vulnerability, that is the way out of the tomb. Right? Now sometimes the walls come down in one fell swoop, right? But often it's a brick by brick job, right? And this takes vulnerability. It takes persistence. It takes a willingness, and sometimes a willingness to just be willing, right? Willing to allow our thoughts, our emotions, ideas, creativity, messiness, whatever it is, to be fully seen, not only by others, by ourselves as others. When you start making something, when you start cooking something, it looks like a mess, and the kitchen might look even worse. But when it comes out of the oven, it's beautiful. It tastes wonderful. But there's that messiness that comes to create it in the first place. And so it's in the letting go that we gain a deeper understanding of our connection to ourselves, to spirit, and to the world around us. It's in the activity of allowing that often our true self is found. Shane Kosian has said, look at an avalanche and see that we are at our most powerful when we let go. Look at a flower and see that we are at our most beautiful when we open up. Right? And so in his book, This Thing Called You, Ernest Holmes writes, there is something within you beyond all doubt and fear, something which has never been limited by your acts or destroyed by your feeling. This is the only something that can make you whole. Our authentic self is a doorway through which the infinite invisible, that something that can make us whole, expresses itself as us. Because our higher self, our authentic self, is made of divine stuff, our highest potential is to express the divine qualities of God. For example, wholeness is the fundamental nature of the divine. It is also the nature of our authentic self, our self that is always seeking to express that divine nature of the divine through us and as us. And when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and trust in the infinite invisible and the wholeness of our authentic self, the stone sealing the tomb of our fear and uncertainty is rolled back. And so we rise anew as we embrace the parts of ourselves as wholeness, all the parts of ourselves, all the parts that we love, all the parts that we would just rather disown and forget about, and all that lovely messiness in between, right? And as we let go and trust the only something that can make it whole, we let in the divine qualities that are the fundamental building blocks of our being. Love, peace, wisdom, beauty. We rise in wholeness and in love. So vulnerability is very powerful. It opens the door to let in all the wonderful experiences of life. You know, it feels like that George Harrison song we just sang, Here Comes the Sun. You know, it's finally here. You know, we're enjoying the snow melting finally, and as the outside temperatures reach in the upper 50s today for Easter Sunday. You know, and all of these experiences, some experiences will bring us great joy. And other experiences, they may be more challenging, right? But yet, all of our experiences serve to develop our authentic self and our trust in our inner divine guide that is always there for us. Always there. If we just listen and be still. And as we are vulnerable and willing to go beyond our comfort zone, the limits of our tomb, we may discover wonders greater than we had ever imagined or hoped for. But whatever those experiences, they will give texture and color to our lives so we can live fully. We open ourselves to love and joy, sadness and heartbreak and all of the things in between. Right? It's a spectrum. Right? And so we live our lives in that wide open space where there's plenty of room to grow. We're not in that little small constricted tomb. We are open to the world and all of its greatness and all of the possibilities that are flowing through us and calling us forward. We stop playing small. And so we discover and embrace our innate wholeness. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes says, always there is an inner, quiet, persistent confidence, a non-resistant but a complete acceptance, an inward flowing with the stream of life, knowing that it carries me safely and surely to my destination and to the accomplishment of every good purpose. We're in the flow of spirit, you know. Let go and let God. When you do that, we're in that flow. There's a story that I'd like to share with you. It's written by Glennon Doyle. And for those of you who don't know her, she's an amazing woman. She has a blog called Momastery and a podcast called We Do Hard Things, aimed at women. And she's written 4 books so far, 3 on the reached the #1 New York Times bestseller list. So, pretty amazing woman. Her most popular book, Untamed, was written about her journey as a 40-year-old married woman with 3 children, very successful. And she discovered that she was gay when she was giving a lecture, and a woman walked in the room, and she just was dumbstruck. I love her, which is before she even met her. So she ended up divorcing her husband, married her wife Abby, the love of her life. And it went okay. They get together for dinner regularly, and all the kids and the 2 moms and dad. But she talks about it in that book. I was finally hearing my own voice, the voice that had been silenced by decades of cultural conditioning, numbing addictions, and institutional allegiances. This was the voice of the girl I had been before the world told me who to be. I vowed to never again abandon myself. I decided to build a life of my own, one based on my individual desire, intuition, and imagination. I would reclaim my true, untamed self. Right? So she was brave and vulnerable. But she listened to who that authentic self was within her, right? And she made a new life. And she did it with love and with caring, right? And so she tells this great story about her daughters that teaches us a lot about what it means to be brave and vulnerable at the same time. So she says, when my 2 daughters, Emma and Tish, were about 12 and 14 years old, the girls began begging to get their ears pierced. You know, I took them to the mall, and when we arrived at the piercing kiosk, or getting close, Emma read ahead. and leaped into the piercing chair and announced to the piercer, and very surprised 20-something, and said, "Let's do this." This is a 12-year-old, right? And when I finally caught up, the piercer turned to me and said, "Are you her mother?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to be." "Okay, do you want me to pierce her ears one at a time or both at the same time?" Emma said, "Oh, both, do it, let's go. And then she squinted her eyes, and she gritted her teeth, and she flexed her muscles like a tiny little Hulk, and as they pierced her, I saw a couple of little tears running down her face, but she wiped it away immediately, and she looked at Emma and thought, "Oh, she's so awesome. She's so brave." She jumped down from the chair, buzzing with adrenaline, and the women working at the kiosk laughed and said, "Oh, wow, she is so brave." Right? Well, Tish, the older sister, stood next to me and taking it all in. She motioned for me to lean down closer, and she whispered, "Actually, Mom, I changed my mind. I don't want to get my ears pierced today." "Are you sure?" I asked. Tish looked over at Emma's earlobes, which were now swollen grape tomatoes. Emma said, "Come on, Tish, you only live once." And Tish said, "Why does everyone say that when they're about to do dangerous things? How about you only live once, so don't get dead early?" And then Tish looked back at me and said, "I'm sure." So the piercer turned to Tish, tried again, and said, "Your turn, honey." I waited for Tish to speak. She said, "No, thank you. I'm not ready today." The piercer said, "Oh, come on. You can do it. Be brave. Look, see how brave your little sister was? That'll always get you, right?" Tish looked at me, and I squeezed her hand as she walked away. She felt a little ashamed, and I felt a little annoyed. But in reflection, Glennon said, "I don't think brave means what we've been saying it means. We tell our children that brave means feeling afraid and doing it anyway. But is this a definition we want them to carry as they grow older?" When she is 17, headed out in a car driven by her teenage buddy, saying that she's going to the movies, but actually going to that kegger down the street, imagine calling to her, "Bye, babe, be brave tonight." You know, what I mean by this is if you're in a scary situation and you feel afraid to do what your friends are encouraging you to do, I want you to ignore your fear and do it anyway. Just plow through that gut instinct of yours. No, that's not the meaning of fear and bravery that I want my children to have. I do not want my children to become people who abandon themselves to please the crowd. Brave does not mean feeling afraid and doing it anyway. Brave means living from the inside out. Brave means in every uncertain moment turning inward and feeling for the knowing and speaking it out loud. And since the knowing is specific, personal, and ever-changing, so is brave. Whether you are brave or not not be judged by people on the outside. Sometimes being brave means letting the crowd think you're a coward. Sometimes being brave means letting everyone else down but yourself. Right? That authentic self. Emma's brave is often loud and go for it. Tish's brave is often quiet and waiting for it. They are both brave girls because each is true to herself. They are not divided between what they feel and know on the inside and what they say and do on the outside. That's integrity. Their selves are integrated. And so, bringing all of this together, when we find ourselves in a tomb of fear and uncertainty, we have the choice to be willing to be open and vulnerable with ourselves. We can then look within ourselves with gentleness and with love to seek and discover our divine self, our authentic self, that infinite invisible that is always there as our guide. And as we become friends with ourselves, we become empowered to roll back that stone that has been keeping us inside our tomb. We can let go of our fears and things that no longer serve us and let in our authentic self and the divine presence. We can choose to embrace the wholeness of life and open ourselves up to all of life. The keys to opening the door, to rolling back the stone, are vulnerability, authenticity, and connectivity to the divine and each other. These are the keys to letting go and letting in and learning to live life from within as our authentic self. Let's take this to prayer. And so as we turn within, we find that still small flame that burns steady. And as we acknowledge it, as we let in that presence of the divine, we let go of anything that would obscure it. We let go of all of the fear and the uncertainty that have kept us in this place. And as we do, the world opens wide and that flame grows stronger and brighter, lighting our path, guiding us to know who we are in this moment, at this time, as the divine presence and our authentic self, our life unfolds before us. And so it is with joy and a lightness of step that we step out into the world, that great things are here in this moment, and we embrace all of life and all of its goodness. We look out with love. We are filled with love to full to overflowing, and we let that love spread out over the landscape. And it touches our own life. It touches the life of everyone in our family, all the people that we love, and all of the fears that we have had for them. We know and see that divine presence within them. And we see that infinite love that is guiding them. And we let it unfold with that perfection of life. And we see that world going out into our community and holding all people together with love, guiding them. As our community grows, as we support each other to grow beyond what we have been, to grow into that greater, higher self. And we see that love surrounding the world and touching every conversation, every communication, every elected body, every family, every institution, every nation. And it is all God, and it is all good. And so we allow ourselves to be vulnerable in this moment. We allow ourselves to trust that inner guide. We allow ourselves to be who we truly are, to follow that inner guide, whether it seems like we're in step with the world outside or not. Because we are in alignment with that inner guide, and that is who we are. That is the source of all. That is the source that brings all people and all experiences into alignment as it expresses itself with that wisdom and love and peace and joy. And on this day of Easter, when we are reminded by the experience of Jesus that he shared on earth, that life is eternal and it is not about a life that happens in the next world. It is about a life in this world where there is heaven on earth. In this moment, right now, we are risen. We rise anew as new people, as our authentic selves. Together, we share in love and joy and gratitude. And so, in deep gratitude for this knowing, for this experience, for this day, I release these words to the law, knowing that it is already done and even greater. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. And so it is, and so we let it be. And so we have one of the most wonderful songs for Easter today. Colleen is going to be leading us. You Raise Me Up, about the power and the presence of the divine.
I remember the first time I heard this song. I was at the conference center in Kings Beach and had just heard Immaculate Ilibagiza from Rwanda speaking. And does anybody know her story? Have you? We probably have some of her books in the library. She is only one of the 2 people in her family that survived the genocide. And horrifying circumstances that she came through. And she came through transformed. She was many weeks in a hidden small bathroom with several other women, and they came out emaciated. And even before they were able to come into a safe, free place, they had to walk through a band of people with machetes who were there to, to do what they thought they were supposed to do. And she was so filled with love that they couldn't do anything to her. So she's one of my heroes. And this song just reminds me of her every time. When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come, my heart burdened be, and then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Thank you, Colleen. Now is our prosperity time. And at CSL Tahoe Truckee, we know that God is our infinite source and for our center and for each one of us as individuals. And so if you've been moved by our gathering today, please consider sharing your abundance with our spiritual community. Donations of your time, talent, and treasure to our center support our vision of embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. We're extremely grateful when you show your gratitude, and that is why CSL Tahoe Truckee is continuing to make a difference in your lives and our community. So there's lots of ways to give. You can cash always works, or checks, automatic debit from your checking account. On our website, we have a PayPal button you can use for your PayPal or credit card, and we now have Venmo if you want to find us as well. All right, so let's join in our prosperity affirmation. Hold your gift or your expectation of it over your heart. In everything I give thanks, I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. My gift blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities.
And the words are here for us. Praise God that good is everywhere. Praise to the love we all may share. The life that thrills in you and me. Praise to the truth that sets us free.
And so, as we give thanks for these offerings that have been shared with our center, we feel the presence and the power of God in the midst of all of it, the divine one that supports us all with graciousness, with love, with generosity. It is all God and it is all good, and it goes out into the world to bless each person that our activities touch and support with love and with that divine spiritual practice. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. And so it is. I have lots of thank yous today. And so Zoom hosting is Diana Misetz, and she actually put all the words on there. So Colleen, our musician, thank you, was here. And then Colleen, actually, I also, I don't always, I forget to mention this, but she is our wonderful newsletter editor and has been doing some marketing for us recently as well. So thank you, Colleen. And our practitioner today was Nancy O'Neill, back from vacation. Thank you, Nancy. And in hospitality, we have lots of wonderful contributions. So Patricia Smelser and Penny and Nancy brought some goodies, and Ocean brought some goodies, and the Easter Bunny brought lots of goodies that are all over the place here. Had a little help decorating from Penny, who came in during the week, so thank you very much. And also, I think this was the actual week that everyone went to visit Vera on Friday. So thank you all for remembering our part of our community. She used to be head of the pastoral care, so now she's the one getting the pastoral care. So please join us for hospitality afterwards. We'll also leave the Zoom on line open for everyone that can join together and chat with your friends on our CSL family, and we'll have it out here in the hospitality room as well. Next Sunday, April 16th, is a special Sunday that Brenda Heldoran, do you want to say something or no? Okay, all right. So, but it's Brenda Heldoran, one of our practitioners, is going to be talking about preparing your sacred space. And we all love to meditate as here at CSL. And so this is a way when you make that space something sacred and the outward representation of what's going on. And when we meditate there in the same place, same time, perhaps every day, there is not only this physical expression, but there is something you can feel, that presence of the divine. So I know in my place, when I walk into it, there's just, there is that presence. It's everywhere, but it's just a place that reminds us. And the practitioner next week will be Michael Brandman, and we'll be having some of our favorite chants. So we all enjoyed singing this morning, so we're going to be chanting next week. All right. You can find information about our spiritual center and our activities on our website. And there's also video recordings of the Sunday gathering, and you can listen to just the whole thing, the talk, or now we're putting the meditations separately if you want to hear the prayer at the end of the talk as well. If you want to keep the Easter spirit flowing, tonight at 6 o'clock you can go online to Karen Drucka has her Sacred Sunday Sing online, and so you can join her for a free hour of singing and prayer and meditation. Wonderful end of the day. And now, on 2 Mondays from now, April 17th, a group of us are going to be going over to the Crystal Hermitage because the tulips are going to be at their height at Ananda, and there's 19,000 tulips. So we're going to make a day of it. So we'll be meeting here in the parking lot at 10, so we can carpool and have a day of friendship together as well. And we'll meet there for a vegetarian lunch at 12:30, and sign up for the tour at 1:45. You can sign up for. You need to pay for it in advance. It's $25 for the lunch and the tour, and there's I checked last night. There's still spaces available for the 1:45 tour, so sign up for that one. And it's just a wonderful annual tradition for many people. Beautiful place that they plan. They start in June to plan for this year, every year. Also, we have let's see, the North Tahoe Community Choir, which is directed by Donna Axton, one of our practitioners. They are presenting their spring concert, the Broadway concert this year, at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, April 19th, and Sunday, April 23rd, both at 7 p.m. at St. Patrick's Episcopal's Church in Incline Village. So the program features songs from Wicked, West Side Story, and Fiddler on the Roof. You can purchase discounted tickets for $15 here at the center. Most of us are going on Wednesday because we want to leave Sunday open for Colleen's concert, but they're $20 at the door. So be a good time to join together. Lots going on that week. So Wednesday we've got a concert. Monday's Ananda. Wednesday's the concert, and then on Thursday night, April 20th, is the Red Tent, is their monthly meeting for a gathering for women, Sacred Circle, the New Moon Ritual. And then on Sunday, we've got our Sunday service on the 23rd, and then that Sunday evening, there is going to be the benefit concert that Colleen has been putting together, and it's through So Am I Worthy, and 3 of the musicians are going to be Karen Drucker and Angelica, and Caliani is stepping in for Emily, who has something else that she has to do that day. And there's going to be other women, all of these wonderful women musicians that So Am I Worthy that supports. And it's a worthy cause, trying to support the earthquake survivors in northwestern Syria. And so they're... Yeah. Right, and it's my understanding that you have to register in advance. So we will have the registration link in the newsletter and on the website. So so look for it there, and then so you'll get the link, the registration link, and then that'll send you the Zoom link. So, okay, and then we have annual retreats are coming up. So the registration link just came out for SOAR. This is the CSL annual conference. It's going to be at Asilomar this year. It should be awesome. And it's in August 8th through the 11th. So you can join us there. And then the even more awesome, we think, retreat is going to be the one in September at Ananda with Melissa and Z. And the title for our annual retreat is Soul Sangha, Communing with Sacred Joy and Wisdom. And we're opening it up to some other of our local centers to join with us. So we're hoping to sell out. So when our registration link comes out this week, make sure you put in your $200 deposit to hold your spot. And so it's going to be a wonderful time. We always enjoy that time of spiritual renewal. Okay, we also have our ongoing CSL classes that there are Zoom links that are coming in. They're all online. So whether you want to join Tai Chi on Thursdays with Chris Worcester, the meditation and energization, 4:30 meditation at 5 with Mary McEnany at later on Thursday, and on Friday the drop-in class on A Course in Love. So it's lots of things going on. And we have our wonderful children here today that are online. They're so excited about Easter and all of that wonderful candy that comes with, that the Easter Bunny has brought us. But let us bless them. We see you. We hear you. We love you. You are a gift from God. And so it is. All right. Okay, so there's lots going on to support you. And most importantly, actually, is the practitioners. So if you would like a quick prayer after the service, please see one of them, our practitioners. So Nancy O'Neill is the practitioner of the day. She's here. Michael Brandman is here. Brenda Heldorn. I'm a practitioner as well. And online, I know we have Carol Dalvana is available. So, and then also, if you have something bigger that you really want to work on, that you're really ready to bring spirit in to help guide you to make a big shift, make an appointment with a practitioner. And we have a list over here. It's time for that. And they do charge, but most people do it on a sliding scale. Right? Okay, so please join us in our closing song and our affirmation. Maybe we should stand for this one here.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God.
My willingness to be vulnerable opens myself up to love, joy, sadness, heartbreak, and all the things in between, creating an expanded space to live and grow. And so it is. Thank you all for coming. Happy Easter!